actually freshly back to the Colorado kink scene. I am a native of Colorado, but I escaped for a little bit back to or out to California. So now that I'm back home, I have been exploring the kink scene a little bit, and I've been doing it more on a personal level and less on a professional level because I've been trying to see what areas are safe to be in. Um, as with all of the scenes out there, things can be a little bit unsafe. And back in the day, things got a little bit unsafe in my estimation when I was not a pro and I had left the scene years ago. So now I'm checking it out again and seeing what's changed because guess what? Populations change, thoughts change, ideas, and everything else can change. So I'm giving people the opportunity here in Colorado to show me who they are now. And the one place I have been to is the Sanctuary in Denver. And it's one of the bigger kink um, clubs that we have here. And so they are fantastic. I love the way that they go about stuff, and they have a lot of different events. My favorite event there is Femdominium, where I get to play Femdom.
I know. Oh, you saw my jaw drop. Ladies and gentlemen, whatever, everybody is welcome. Please bow down, show utmost respect. I am serious. Open your heart, open your mind, open your eyes, and definitely open your ears because you're going to be educated. This person I'm about to talk to and introduce is a force of nature in the kink community. Wow, when I found out I was interviewing this woman. People came out. This person has a following, a loyal following, because they're doing it. They got the fire in them. Please welcome Isabella Dollish. Hi, how are you doing?
I'm fantastic, Nicholas. It's wonderful to be here today. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for coming. I do have to say this before we begin. Everything we talk about is between adults, consenting adults. We're adults. This is a lifestyle. This is a culture. It's all legal. We're adults. It's role play. Don't judge. Very unattractive of you to judge. Don't be so judgy. Seriously, think about it. Think about your life and think about how judgy you are. And you should really just be conscious of that. Isabel Dollish. So I have to start my question. What's inspiring you these days?
Well, currently, what's inspiring me is Intrinsic Kink Inc. It's a new global nonprofit organization that I started to provide free kink education and a safe community for everyone to meet up globally. If you would like to join us, it doesn't cost you a dime, and we're bringing together a whole bunch of professionals from across the globe to provide you education so that you can become the best kinky person you can be. Please do make sure you come and check it out. Intrinsic Kink Inc. has a couple of pro switches and a pro sub in-house. I'm Isabella Dollish, the main pro sub. The second pro sub is Ava Nix, or excuse me, pro switch. Got stuck on the pro sub there. The pro sub is Nicholas. Gosh, man, I'm just screwing it up today. Let's try that again. Nicole Thorne. Nicole Thorne is the pro sub. I'm the pro switch, and Ava Nix is the pro switch. Man, look at me just fumbling. Anywho, Intrinsic Kink Inc. is a fun place to be, and a lot of things are happening on there. There's spanking, there's impact play of all sorts, which is what spanking falls under. I also have a shirt and tie channel for one of my favorite genres, as well as my own dollhouse there. You can come and interact with me for free in Intrinsic Kink Inc. just by coming and being a member. All you have to do is at me in a certain room, or you can even DM me just by going and following the rules. We ask that you make requests to DM people on our server.
All right. Education is something that I like to think the show's an educational show. I mean, it's a hangout show, but it's the culture. It's about culture, and we have a lot of educators. We have a lot of people. We have shows about what not to do, and we're going to get all in it. So, if you can, education is really at the core of it. Your heart, your teacher, really, you got that fire in you. You want people to learn, and you want people. You
Well,
want the world to be a better place, a big kinkier place,
I
right?
am. At the heart of it, I'm a life coach. So, really, my
Okay.
dream is to make your dreams a reality. And by doing that, we educate you. Okay, to make your dreams a reality, you need to do it safely. We like to follow RAC, which is risk aware consensual kink. And with the classes that we teach you how to come to consent. How do you negotiate? What does aftercare look like? What's the difference between abuse and BDSM? Um, how do you work through conflict? Or what's the purpose of a timeout, or what we call emotional intelligence? There's all these different things that you can use not only as a kinky person, but also in your vanilla worlds as well, because these are life skills that we like to teach. And then when we get into the kinky side of things, we bring experts on panel to teach you things. Like we do have a lovely mistress in South Africa. Her name is Miss Kitten, and she's a needles expert. So when she gets on to play,
Shout out to Miss Kitten. She's been on the show several times. What an amazing woman! Oh my God, Miss Kitten is incredible. Have you seen her work? It is
I
inspiring.
have. You can go see her work on Intrinsic Kink Inc. even. So she's willing to volunteer. We're going to get her into the rotation. The thing to remember is that Intrinsic Kink Inc. itself was just born at the beginning of November. It was born on November 9th of this year. So we are in our inception year. This is our 0 year. Of being born. And it came about because I wanted to make sure that there were things available to everyone. A lot of us don't have a bunch of money, including myself. I know you think I make like have a bunch, but my platform is primarily mental health and education. So that's where my life coaching comes in. My background and degree is in psychology, and I used to be a corrections officer. I take a lot of those life skills that I taught the boys in the corrections world, and I teach them to you, because guess what? I told those boys every day that if they could master those skills, they were better off and better at life in general than the majority of the adults on the streets, because I was a juvenile corrections officer. So make sure you come and be a part of Intrinsic Kink Inc., because we're going to have classes on spanking and impact play in general. We'll have classes on the needles like we had mentioned, and all the other things too. Like if you are a lifestyle member with a reputation and can be vetted, we will be happy to have you present just as a lifestyler. You do not have to be a pro to be a part of our community. In fact, it's not about money at Intrinsic Kink Inc. It's free. So that's the real key, is that we want to make sure that everyone can learn and grow together with no tuition involved.
This is music to my ears. I love this. Well, I have to say this. Education is sexy. Seriously. I'm a college graduate. I love education. I'm going back. I'm thinking about going back. Just education in general, and kink education is sexy. Classes, going to classes, talking to people, getting new ideas, getting inspired. Go to classes, people. You're not above it. You're not. You think you're better? You think you're a better kinky person than us, and you don't need classes? Well, you're judgy, right? Go to classes, get some education. Speaking of classes, what's the most popular class, and what's your personal favorite?
Honestly, that's a hard one to say, because everybody likes to be a part of my world in the Dollhouse. And so it kind of fluctuates and varies on the day what's going on. But I'd have to say maybe the most popular that people ask me to repeat most often would be abuse versus BDSM. So there's one tiny little fine line that defines if it's abuse or if it's BDSM. Do you know what that line is, Nicholas?
Oh yes, I've seen it, and I've seen it at the dungeons and just throughout the years.
Yeah, well, it's
Unfortunately.
the only line
Consent.
between abuse and exactly correct.
Huh.
I love it. Good job. Yay. That is the answer, because guess what, guys? A lot of what we do could fall under the purview of breaking the law. So
Okay.
so that's why it's really important to make sure that you're carefully negotiating and even understanding what that means. It also means that you need to know the ins and outs of the kink you're interested in. Go to those classes or go find the books, because guess what? Just like Nicholas Tanek is an author, there's a whole bunch of other kinky
Yeah.
people out there that have made literature for you to go consume. So go consume
And a
it.
lot of them have been on my show. We have the Kinky Author Circle. We have the Author Circle where we have any author who's been on the show before and they have a book. they come on the show as a bunch of authors, as a circle, and we all talk about kink and writing kink and getting published in kink and being writers in kink. Check out the YKF Author Circle. Sorry, I had to interrupt.
I wanted you to.
I gotta represent the writers.
That's why I brought that whole point up. Is if you don't want to attend a class and you're too scared to, you can get all of these books online. Okay.
Yeah.
They're available. A lot of them are available in hard or softback, as well as you can go and get an audio book on a lot of things. It's just a matter of going and looking for it. If I were going to suggest to all of you guys the literature to pick if you're a newbie, I would say go get Screw the Roses, Give Me the Thorns. That one is a good one for beginners, and it kind of outlines the glory and beauty of a power exchange relationship and kind of helps you understand where to even start. So I would highly suggest that book as a starting point. But I would tell you, Nicholas, that I actually had literature introduce me to kink. I was young.
Oh, yeah.
I'm 44 now. So I was only 17 years old when I discovered it. But I will tell you, I was the biggest fan of, now I'm drawing a blank on her name. She wrote the Sleeping Beauty series, Anne Rice. So Anne Rice was the one that introduced me to kink, everyone.
Oh yeah, the vampire stuff, right?
No. The Sleeping Beauty. She wrote it
under
the
erotic
pseudonym.
Yes,
it
the
was
erotic.
under
I'm sorry.
it was under Anne Rocklier before, but now it's published under her real name, so you can find it. But that was what introduced me to kink, was literature. You can go educate yourself that way too.
It's funny that you say that, because literature was the same way, the same gateway for me. It was, I started reading, I got my hands on Venus and Fur and the Story of O at a very young age. I loved that. I love stuff like that. Anything that, and then the Marquis de Sade, of course, anything that was banned or that they didn't want me to read, I wanted to read it at least. And that really opened my mind. Reading is fundamental. Please, everybody, read a book. Try it. It's great. Let's talk about you talk about the popular class and everything like that. But you have events. Now, I help out at Mischief Manor. Okay. Here in New Jersey, shout out to Mr. Shari, Catnip Boy, everybody in Mischief Manor. It's great. This is a all-inclusive dungeon. We teach classes. We have parties, theme parties. We've done live shows from there. It's wonderful. And we have events. We have the 420 event. We have the Kink Carnival.
Nice.
You name it. Like we have Sissy Charm School, stuff like that. So
Sweet.
what kind of events, since now you're a nonprofit, Intrinsic Kink is nonprofit, but you kind of have events, right?
Well, that's the
gatherings?
key is we do have gatherings. It's all online at the moment.
Okay.
And that's what keeps the costs low. We're all about making it accessible. Well, in order to make it accessible, we have to keep those costs low. So we are using several things. One, you find us on Discord, and that's where all of the events and classes shall be held, unless you have an instructor that wants you to go join them on a different platform, and we will provide you a link to join them. A lot of pros prefer different platforms, and we're not going to force them to just stay on Discord. Discord just happens to be a free platform for us. The other thing that we're doing is for every event, we're rerunning it twice, one during the UK time and one during a US time, to try to hit the globe as much as we can. And after it's replayed, it then will be posted on FetLife for all of you. So if you're a FetLife supporter, you get to go watch it for free, or I guess through their minimal membership. We believe in supporting FetLife because FetLife has really helped to make a lot of things happen for all of us, including connecting us and figuring out where the real in-life events are, as well as other online education opportunities. So we believe that at this point in time, until we can handle the cost, when the community can handle the cost of moving to a different format, then we will. But right now, we're just a little baby. We're beginning, so we're going to use as many free platforms as we can.
I definitely want to talk offline. We should.
You're excited.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, this is great. So, in your opinion, just brainstorm with me. The kink community is a lot about brainstorming, imagination, and fantasy. Intrinsic kink, let's say, that you want to make an event. What makes a perfect event? What would be a perfect event? We'll do your perfect kink fantasy later, but like just a solid event wise.
I think you might be surprised because a perfect event at Intrinsic Kink Inc. is an instructor and at least one person, just one,
Okay.
only one person who wants to learn. That's all that matters to us. Because you can always go back and learn it later. Like I said, there's going to be access to the archives on FetLife, or you can come and join us for the replays. But as long as there's just one person, then that matters. You matter. Each one of you matters to us. And so as long as there's one person, that's the perfect event. The perfect event is also having somebody who's willing to donate their time to us, because that's really what it's about. We have all these different pros and people who are masters at their different kinks that are coming and gifting us their time. So that's really where it's at. It's the fact that we have a community coming together. We have at least one person joining us, and then that's a perfect event. Just at least one.
You go between Colorado and Las Vegas, though, right?
Well, honestly, I go across the globe.
You go across the globe. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
the reason my profiles say Colorado and Las Vegas right now is the next big event is Las Vegas.
Okay. All right. Stan Vladimir says, welcome. We have some other questions. Sunshine says, consent is sexy without
It's
a
hella
doubt.
Sexy.
Very sexy.
I think I have to share this about consent. My partner and I, we were having sex and we like to talk dirty and like verbalize things to each other. And he kept taking me out of like the headspace because he kept trying to do things that didn't like include saying they sexually consented to this. They enthusiastically consented to this in some way. And then like he finally got what I was trying to explain to him, and I actually orgasmed from him saying, and they enthusiastically consented, and I was like, ah. So there you go. That's a story for you.
Consent is sexy. Consent. Stan Vladimir says, love your background, especially that little purple Muppet.
Thank you. That was a present from my scene mama. I don't know if you guys know Mama Blue, but she's my scene mama. And so yeah, she sent that to me as a present. And then some of these is more spanking and bondage. Anyway.
Let me get the more. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Now you said you were submissive. You're submissive at the.
Well, I'm a switch.
Have you always been a submissive? All right. Okay, a switch. But so, tell us about the evolution of that.
Okay. Well, what happened is I started off as a slave with my ex-master. He was my husband. We had started in a regular vanilla white picket fence dream world, and as life happens, we kind of became more honest with each other, and it came out that I wanted to be spanked. I wanted him to hit me. I wanted him to dominate me. And so when that occurred, we entered into a contract where I was the slave. That meant that he was the master and had everything to say. In fact, I was not allowed to participate in FetLife or anything online. I wasn't allowed to go educate myself personally yet because he understood that once I did that, I would surpass him in knowledge and understanding, and he couldn't be my master at that point. So he enacted rules and a contract, renamed me. Isabella comes from him. That was the name he granted me. And so part of the contract, though, was if I ever didn't want to be submissive, like if I wanted to switch roles and then it was done. Well, I wanted to switch roles and I ended up switching with another partner because we were polyamorous. So that was where my switch was born. So first I started off as a slave. I was a high protocol slave. I learned all the things under the wing of my master for a year. And then we went to events. We went to Thunder in the Mountains, which no longer exists, but it was an amazing event. I think now it's called Gods or something like that. Anywho, we educated ourselves and we grew together as a master slave couple. But when I found this other partner in my polycule, I had gotten permission to have another top from my master, but he really was a switch and he really, 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 really wanted me to, beat the shit out of him. And so one day I finally did, and it was 3 or 4 hours later after I had bruised his cock a whole shit ton and like rocked his world, we determined that I was Miss Bella. So that's where the switch came from. And I would have to say that it wasn't too long after that that I ended up realizing that my master and I were better off as friends and not romantic partners. So we're best friends now.
That's hopeful. Hearing that, because at first I'm listening to this story. I'm listening to this story, and I'm thinking, at first, oh, this is you, because we were talking about abuse, and I've heard horror stories on this desk, and this, and then how you're all friends now. Ah, yeah. See, there is hope. It's wonderful. Oh, speaking of, are you talking about these?
Yes, that is the Anne Rice series. Yes. Oh,
Is
there you
it,
go.
do you have
You
a
got the
favorite?
original. Um, you have the original set right there, don't you? Because you have it as Anne Roquelaire or anyway, Roquelaire is on there.
Yeah.
Well, I
Do you have a favorite?
honestly, I can't, like, it's been so long since I've read all of them. I would say read them all in order. That's the way to do it. Read them in order. Anne Rice is very much a good author. She's an excellent author, and I suggest all of her stuff. But I
Prolific.
1000%, yeah, I 1000% suggest the Sleeping Beauty series.
So being a switch, I'm a switch myself, but it seems most of the switches I know, it seems to come in waves. I can turn it off in the same night. Sometimes I have, but these days it seems like I'm becoming very submissive, and then I'll become very dominant, and then I'll go back to being very submissive. And I tend to lean more towards one or the other, but I'm still a switch. I still consider myself a switch. How would you, the switch wise, what percentage is dominant? What percentage is submissive, would you say?
Well, honestly, I'm very much an almost egalitarian switch with my partner.
Okay.
Okay. And when I say it like that, because he's starting to learn how to be kinky, and so
Mhm.
we have always naturally been very switchy sexually, and I called him my porn sex partner. He just actually, his name is, if you're going to look at his work, it's Johnny Shindig. He just premiered in his first cinched production. He got tied up and spanked and gagged and a whole bunch of things, and that was all cherry poppin' moments for him. So when he expressed a desire to be kinky switch with me, I
Mhm.
told him that it was not possible for me to teach him myself, that he had to have somebody else teach him. So I've hooked him up with a mentor here in Denver so that he can learn to be a kinky top. And otherwise, though, he's a great submissive because he's been letting me do some cock and ball torture on him. So,
Oh, we'll get in the cock and ball torture. But Stan has a question. Stan has
sure.
a very important question. Stan Vladimir asked, Miss Isabella, if you could have any superpower, what would it be, and how would you use it in your kinky time?
Hmm. Honestly, I wish I had the teleportation power so that I could just help everybody everywhere at any moment that I needed to and just be there for them and give them cuddles or hugs or beatings based on whatever their needs were at that moment. Like, there's lots of times when I'm in Colorado and say my submissive is in another state. One of my dolls is I call them dolls. One of my dolls is another state, and I can't give them the kind of in-person regard that I'd like to provide for them. So I would like to have the superpower of teleportation. And then of course I would like travel everywhere because I am a huge gypsy and love to experience the new things. Also, please do call me Miss Bella.
Miss Bella, what was the first time you were spanking someone? Like in a scene, not for like fun or something like okay, I'm officially spanking someone. Kinky.
The first time I did any sort of impact play was with that switch I mentioned. He was the first person that I did any sort of beating up with. But honestly, when I first showed up at Lone Star Spanking Party in 2018, that was my first time stepping into the world as a pro, but I didn't tell y'all because I had had enough experience under my belt, not only as a professional in the mental health field, but also as a kinky person for many years. I remember I started as a slave. So when I walked into the sex industry, which is where I fall, uh, I walked over to that event and just started charging people. I put a price tag on me and the things that I had to offer, which is a myriad of skills as well as education to help make all of you guys a better peoples, whatever that may look like.
Now, when it comes to spanking, we had a spanking show, we had a spanking show in the past, but Lady Sublime was here last week, and she was talking about spanking and spanking. So if you don't mind, I'd like to talk a little bit about spanking, if that's okay with you.
Mm-hmm.
We're still on this kick, and you have spanking parties, don't you? And spanking booths? What's going on with that?
Okay, well, I just retired from the spanking booth. The spanking booth is something that each of the spanking parties, not each of them, most of them have. I don't even know if most of them have. Some of them have. And the spanking booth, I used to host it for Lone Star Spanking Party. I retired this year. The whole reason why I'm sitting back in Colorado is I came back home to take care of my father and my stepmom. My stepmom has since passed, but the whole purpose of me moving back was ultimately to take care of my dad. And so with that being said, I handed the reins of the spanking booth over to a gentleman by the name of Monty. And he's I don't want to say his name wrong. Yeah, the FetLife names never stick. Anyway, yeah. Monty is now the person running the spanking booth. But the spanking booth, what the whole thing entails is at the vendor fair at the event, they set up a booth that you can donate either $1 for a hand spank or $2 for an implement spank, and all of the proceeds go towards the American Cancer Society. And there's also 2 other ways that you could participate in that whole event, and that's by doing the silent auction or by playing the spanking games. So there's lots of fun ways to donate, and we like to kick cancer's ass just one swat at a time. And then we donated last year, or this last November, I think around 3,500. The year before, I think we were closer to 7,000. Something like that. I can't remember all the numbers, but the bottom line is the very first year we started back up after COVID, I think we made something like $3,000 just right out of the gate. And we had so few people because the numbers had dropped after everybody's getting scared from infectious diseases. And so there were fewer people present, but we were still able to drum up around $3,000. And so I really, over the years, I ran it 4 years in a row. Like I said, I just retired from running it. But what I am doing instead for Lone Star this year is I'm going to be doing a class called Miss Bella's Etiquette. You're going to you're going to come and learn a little bit about etiquette at the parties. You're going to learn a little bit about learning how to speak up when you see something, learning how to deal with it, or to talk to the people that can handle something. Because the only way for us to keep you safe at an event, at a spanking party, or any of the events that you go to, is for you to tell the people who are in charge that something bad happens. We don't have cameras watching all of you. We only have 2 eyeballs. And when we see something, we're going to take care of it. Don't you worry. But if you don't say something to us, we can't do nothing about it. So remember, it's as a community that we keep the community safe. Then the other part to remember about that is that all parties involved will be investigated and then handled accordingly.
For those, common sense is not that common for most people. So
it's an oxymoron.
Let's just throw some obvious etiquette out there for people. Maybe some people have never been to an event or a munch or a party or even around kinky people, or, what are some just basic etiquette things you could throw out there just for listeners?
First and foremost, I like to call it micro consent. Do not look at the Urban Dictionary definition because I made it before they did. So micro consent is where you ask before doing. Miss Bella, may I hug you? Miss Bella, may I touch you in some way? You ask before you do. It's really very super simple. So if you do that, you'll never screw up. And so that's one of the things that we're going to talk about. And you should also have your negotiations done beforehand. So for instance, if you came up to me at a Naughty Boy event, I would say, how much have you played? Which of these implements would you like to use? What intensity would you like to experience? May I take your underwear off? May I pull your pants down? They're all the things that I want to do to you. I'm going to ask you in advance, right? So when you're negotiating, you want to have like some sort of like little list of things that you're considering in a quick and dirty negotiation, because that's one of the key factors of a spanking party, is it's almost a free for all because everybody wants to play, and all you have to do is open your mouth and ask, and then be able to accept no for an answer. Now,
Yes.
remember that no is not necessarily no forever.
Yeah.
Most of us most of us want to see who you are. Show us who you are. Show us that you're a gentleman or a upstanding lady. Show us that you have the ability to communicate effectively and negotiate with us. And I also want to see your skill set. Like before I became a pro, I wouldn't let a lot of you guys spank me. I would have wanted to see you spank somebody else. I would have wanted to see you in action a few times. I would have wanted to have like me a couple of conversations with you
Mm.
before I'd ever play with you. That stands true for the majority of people at the spanking parties. Well, guess what? If you need somebody to help you show those examples, you can hire one of us pros. Okay. If you're hiring a pro switch or a pro sub, you can spank us if you've negotiated in those rooms. Okay. And what that does is it allows some of the regular party goers to see that you know what you're doing. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, in addition, if you are doing something a little bit off, the pro will speak up and tell you how to fix it. So I highly suggest going out there, getting yourself educated. I do a lot of kinky education sessions where I will either teach another partner how to beat on another partner, or I'll teach someone with a model that we've hired so that I can teach you how to be a better top that connects and can bring your submissive to subspace. So utilize the pros. That's what we're there for. We're not there to take your partners. We're there to teach y'all.
I love this. Oh my God, I love this. Let's just get back to spanking because that's what people are asking. Okay, we did the spanking party. So there are different types of spanking. We were talking to the Lady Sublime. There's top spanking, domestic discipline. There's the confessionary, judicial, corporal punishment type of spanking. There's relaxation, percussive therapy. And finally, there's the sensual spanking, and that which can lead to erotic spanking, which Ladies Sublime does not do. We went through this list last time. So what are your thoughts on these? Which are your favorite types of spanking? And
Well, honestly, my favorite type of spanking is just a natural scene. Okay. So in a natural scene, I can incorporate all of those different things. I usually start off with asking if you've been a good person or a bad person. And then we go from there, building some sort of something for you. And if you've been a good person, I want you to tell me what that looks like. And if you've been a bad person, I want you to tell me what you've done bad so that I can then either correct you or praise you for your behaviors. Okay. So for me, I like to use spanking as an instrument of, as a disciplinarian, right? I'm sculpting all of you to be better individuals and better people. And I do so by connecting it to things that are reality. Now, do I offer role playing? Sure, that I would put role playing as a type of spanking as well, okay? Because role playing is very prevalent in the spanking community, and they like to do all these things around fantasies from when they were in school, or fantasies of work, or fantasies of being in some sort of religious organization or something. The sky's the limit on the fantasy that you can role play. But the key is that the instant that you start role playing something, you can take out some of that real genuine connection, because I really favor that natural scene, because the natural scene allows me to gauge what you're doing, gauge your responses, and respond in kind, and take you to wherever I want to take you. As whereas when we're doing the role playing, I have to really think about a character and try to stay in character for you, which is fine. I'm really good at it. I'm very, very good at it. But my favorite is that natural spanking. And what I do is with that natural spanking comes all those different kinds. So like the percussive rhythm, I like to call it
mm.
I like to call it Florentine spanking, where I'm using both hands,
Oh
right?
yeah,
Okay, because we're both.
the
Isn't that what
elbows.
Florentine?
I noticed that if I do the elbow, if you use your elbow, just like drums, use your elbows.
I totally drum all the time. I
Yeah,
often like make like little songs for you. It's
yeah,
just
yeah. I did too.
I'll see.
Thank you for making
Yeah,
little songs for me.
You're welcome. And when you really, really let me just be myself, you're going to get my wicked laugh out of me more often. Okay. So people really are pleased by my little laugh of pleasure. And you'll get that more often when you let me do a natural scene. So, but all of those things like relaxive percussive therapy spanking can also be what we call a bedtime spanking.
Mm.
And a bedtime spanking is where it's just really rhythmic and even and not very hard. You're not looking to really necessarily cause a lot of pain, but it's like think about when you have an infant and you're patting their back. It's kind of the similar sort of experience, but on your booty. Okay, so it's really kind of nice. And then you had what were some of the other ones you threw out there? Throw another
This
one up.
other ones, I throw top spanking.
So a top
And
spanking, I think that one I would throw under if I were going to describe that one. That's where you're a service top. You're
mm,
providing a service to another spanky. So I'm not sure what she was describing with it, but if I were going to look at that word or that combination of words, I would say that I was providing a service. As a pro, I am generally providing a service to you. Also, though, all of my clients become friends. And so there becomes times and opportunities for me to provide a top service to you because this is who I am. And just
mm.
because it's is what I make money with, it doesn't mean I'm always going to charge you. So as a top spanking, I might provide a service to you without charging you or something like that. Does that make sense? Because I already am a top service person.
Rapid
Wrap.
fire kink advice.
Okay.
Rapid fire kink advice. A sub shows up high. What do you do?
If a sub shows up intoxicated, then you need to reschedule the stuff. Now, that can mean a couple of things though, because remember, if somebody is on, say, oxycodone for regular therapy for pain, and they're capable to drive a vehicle, then I'm not going to consider you intoxicated for taking your prescribed medications. Or say you're a pothead like me and you have a certain level of regular smoking because it helps you with your mental health stuff, it becomes a medication at that point, then I'm not going to be upset with you if I know that you're smoking a joint before we start. I will even often, if you like to relax a little bit by having a glass of wine or a beer, I don't mind that. But you can't go past that because when you pass that, you've passed the legal limit of intoxication and you should not be making any sort of consensual decisions. So remember, though, you have to look at each individual case accordingly because there are a lot of us in the kink world who are chronic pain patients or have mental health disorders or whatever, and we have to use medications that could be considered no-goes for some people, but necessarily a part of our lives. Like it has to be a part of our lives.
Rapid fire kink advice. You tie someone up, their arm or wrist goes numb or blue. What do
I'm going to cut that shit right off.
you? Where's the machete? You got a sub with a machete somewhere, a gimp, right?
Somewhere, right? You're losing your arm. I'm going to just cut your arm right off for you. Just take care of that. Don't worry. It went blue. It's dead now.
Yeah, you don't need it.
Bye.
Dismemberment is a whole new kink, right? Amputees.
I mean, I don't do permanent damage, so there's that.
All right. Rapid fire kink advice. A sub that you know met someone online that you don't know who is extorting money from them. What do you do?
No, I say no, no,
No,
don't
no.
do it. No,
That's
no, no,
it.
no, 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 no.
Okay.
I will honestly like if you're into a fine dom situation, I think a proper dominant is not going to make you destitute. So look at that. Like you should never be destitute. If they really care about you, if you're a proper in your proper power exchange relationship, they will
Hmm.
care about you and they're never going to drain you dry. They're going to be
Yeah.
considerate of the fact that you need to fucking survive and that you might have a family or other things or dreams. And so don't ever just give up everything to some lady online, please, because most
Hmm.
likely it's some dude in another country.
Rapid fire kink advice. A dom that you know not very well, but know well enough, acquaintance, is talking about robbing somebody. Is going to New Orleans or something, or California, or so wherever, someplace that's very crowded, and robbing someone. leaving them there, something like that. Something's about to happen. What do you do?
I would have to actually probably contact the submissive and give them a heads up that they're going to be assaulted in some fashion or another, and that they can't be doing that. And then I would promptly unfriend the dom and tell them that that is unacceptable behavior in the dollhouse or anywhere near me, and to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, love that. All right, rapid fire kink advice is the last one. A sub keeps on talking about a plan to murder a CEO of a large company. What do you do?
So I see that you have some aggression towards maybe the medical world. Would you like to talk about that some, please? Yes. I think that maybe murder is not the answer today, and that what we can do is spank it out.
Spank it out. Oh, that's the quote. Spank it out. Because I quote every episode. I had spank a quote and cuddles or hugs or beatings. Those are two very good quotes. All right. I'm Miss Bella. I'm loving this. See, you have the fire in you. You really do. You're contributing to the culture and you're helping people. You're like, seriously, it's amazing. I love this. It's so inspiring. Mentors, influencers. I mean, you were influenced by people. You had mentors. Who do you want to give your flowers to right now?
I'll give the mentor flower to my ex-master, because he was the one that held my hand in the interim and taught me the proper way to be safe about kink. And as far as influencers are concerned, I'm gonna confess right now, I really don't participate all that much in the online stuff. I'm the worst at it. I suck at social medias and all of that jazz. My influence is myself. If I watch you, I'm afraid I'm going to copy you, because I have this terrible proclivity for paraphrasing and mimicking, and I like it to be genuine and from the heart. I don't want to inadvertently take somebody's something from them. So I kind of don't really watch anybody. And but I do enjoy going to real in-person classes.
Mind fuckery. Do you specifically use it in your kink?
Every day. I mind fuck on a regs. Well, I mean, it can be through the threat of punishment just lingering over your head, or I could be mind fucking you by reminding you that you're mine, or that you're a dirty little sub, or whatever the case may be. So I like to mind fuck you in general, and it's very much related to the person in front of me.
Mm. Okay, cool. Okay, so we had some aftercare. Aftercare. What do you do for aftercare? So you have aftercare. Everyone has their own style. What is
aftercare is actually really important, and if you're not being offered aftercare, you might want to think twice about who you're talking to. Okay, and so with aftercare, what you can do is make sure you have some water on hand. Make sure you have some nummy snackums on hand, so that you can boost yourself after the release of all the endorphins and brain chemicals, the happy brain chemicals that we release during a scene. And then one of the best ways that I like to do it is through Cuddles. Do you know the best pillow on the planet are a set of titties? Yeah, they're the best pillow on the planet. So I will cuddle you and remind you how amazing you are. And it's about words of affirmation and maybe even processing and talking about the scene. But the real key factor here is you have to listen to the submissive in front of you. Okay. Mm-hmm. The submissive in front of you is the one that dictates that. Maybe they don't want to use booby pillows. Maybe they don't want that particular snack. So I always tell my
booby pillows.
Don't ask me.
But I don't.
But the point is that you as an individual needs to understand what that looks like. And then the thing that everybody forgets, now fucking please don't forget this, is you need to have your aftercare after, not just during after the scene, but like a few days, maybe a week later. You need to check in with your dom, check in within your sub. You need to have an arranged meeting time or know that one's coming, because I don't necessarily
Mhm.
schedule them. But if you have a session with me, I'm going to check in with you within a few days or a week later to make sure that you are doing okay. So the aftercare matters.
What was your very first professional session like? How would you describe it in
It
like 3 words?
scary. Um, I would just say 3 words. You want 3 words? It was scary, it was easy, and it was new. Um, it was very new trying to not be afraid of being taken to jail.
Oh, really? So please, can you tell us a little bit about like what's going on without giving too many
Well,
details?
I mean, and what it is that I'm a sex worker. And like
Hmm.
depending on the state you're looking at, whichever
Yeah.
state I'm in, or even the country I'm in, I could be committing a crime. Like there's some states that I can go to, and if I say the wrong thing, I've committed a crime, and now I'm a pimp or something, right? Or an assaultist. And there's generally most of the states aren't going to care about your assault. If someone files a charge against you for assault because you were in a kinky situation, then you're just fucked. But the problem is as a person accepting money in exchange for kinky beatings and services, is it still falls under the whole purview of prostitution. As far as the government's concerned in most places. So it was really scary to me to be accepting money for doing kinky things. Not only had it been my lifestyle for many years, but it was the fear of having to go to jail.
Yeah. Oh my, yeah. What now? Looking back, right? Looking back, what mistakes have you made? And think about it. You're scared of going to jail. Most people are, right? No one's, Um, so what mistake? Looking back, what mistakes have you made? I'm not asking you to
Um, well,
confess to crimes unless you want to, but
I,
but you know what I mean.
I actually, in the dollhouse, you're impeccable. We don't commit crimes.
Yeah, of course.
So, anywho, with mistakes, I would say the biggest mistakes I made in the industry was not understanding some of the payment methods, like how they processed. So I was scammed a bunch. Some of the mistakes I've made is like wasting too much time. You talked about that earlier about not
Yeah.
wanting to waste anybody's time.
Never waste the dom's time.
And so you have to learn how to
Copy.
identify the people that are wasting your time. And then you also have to figure out how to communicate with individuals when you're trying to exchange monies for a service like this without
Hmm.
getting their rocks off for free.
Yeah. Okay.
So those are the
We have
mistakes
some,
you make is trying to figure that out.
we have some questions. Here's some lighter questions. Sadism. Why?
Well, I call it doing your brain drugs. Um,
Oh, I like
uh,
that. That's great. That's so good. I want to do my brain drugs. I'm going to use that.
Yeah, you
I'll give
should.
you
You're
credit.
welcome to.
Thank you.
Sadism, it comes from a place of, I think for often a lot of us people with chronic pain, because I do have a chronic pain problems myself, is that it helps to stimulate those natural endorphins that we can no longer stimulate through regular pain. And so what
Mhm.
it does is it allows us to bring together that beautiful cocktail of brain drugs that brings us to a place of ecstasy. In fact, sadism equals ecstasy. Ah. Um, anything in life, when it's bringing you extreme happiness, can bring a result of drop. And sadism is the same thing. If it brings you happiness, it's going to bring you all of the good stuff and a resulting drop later. That's why it's doing your brain drugs.
Now, you and I, we have some experience in the community, and we have experience with sadists, being sadistic, being masochist, sadist, like the whole bowl. But what impressed you? When was the last time you were really impressed by sadism, either yours or someone else's? What was it?
Honestly, I just got to play with a submissive in the dungeon at Lone Star. I was particularly impressed with his ability to take it. That fella was a real fucking sadist. Okay, or masochist, I should say, a real masochist. And so I got to do a porcupenicus on him, and that was really
What is
thrilling
that?
getting a porcupenicus is where I take a whole bunch of clothespins and put as many clothespins on you, on your penis shaft, on your nut sack, all of it, all over that. And then I proceed to smack them off with different implements. And then at a point, you usually call yellow to the implements because it's pretty damn painful. And when that happens, then I start playing you like a little fiddle, or like maybe milk you, I guess, because I'll take off several or in a row and then let you feel and experience that pain and then more. So a porcupenicus is cock and ball torture at its finest. If you want to see a picture of it, I believe I was tagged on FetLife by the fella that I got to do the porcupenicus on. Um, and
Wow.
I also have like I have two accounts. I have a Puddin' Bunny doll account that there's a porcupenicus on there too from back in the day. When I first started all this, I realized you guys wanted a person, so I ended up switching from my pro to my personal account, and then I made a reputation and a brand, and then I switched over to my pro account. I kind of use both of them still though. But yeah, there's a porcupenicus. It's fun. Do
You
it.
know, that answered the next question. My next question was going to be CBT in new creative ways, and you just answered it, which is great. This is great. All right, sissification. Throughout the years, personally, I really enjoy the sissification narrative. I'm locked in chastity right now. I'm wearing garter belts and stockings. My queen is downstairs. After this, I'm cooking her dinner. You know what I mean?
I
Yeah. Oh, I
do.
clean the house. I clean the house. French maid outfit, bathroom, all 3 floors, bathroom, kitchen, you name it, vacuum,
Woo!
everything. I made you proud, as Miss Bella.
I
So
do. Yeah, I am very proud of you. I am.
thank you.
Um, I
So
love
has your attitude
sissification.
changed throughout the years?
Honestly, yes. I have over the years like gone from not necessarily caring for it because it just wasn't one of my kinks to really
Mm-hmm.
enjoying it as a professional. Okay.
No.
I didn't get into it until I was a professional, and I have found that it's really quite fun. Now, I think that the thing that needs to be recalled though too is that sissification can either be a positive thing for you or it can be an
Yes.
embarrassment for you. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that too many people focus on the idea that it's supposed to be a affront to women. I don't think it is. I think it's meant to be more of a I worship you. I am dedicated to the idea of you being superior and I wish I could be you, right?
That's exactly not well. Almost exactly in my personal everyone kinks differently, everyone is their own way, but I'm definitely on the board of I don't want to necessarily be a woman, but I have a fetish for fabric and the texture and the encasement of it, and also the femdom aspect of sexual power, control over orgasm control, and the tease, being owned, the security of being
You're
owned.
mine. Doesn't that feel so good?
Does. But also serving and doing. I'm a better person. Seriously, being submissive, right? When I am submissive, and I try to be the best submissive possible. I try to serve, try to give the best orgasm possible. Try to serve the best foot rub, the best foot massage, the best meal I can make, the cleanest
You are
kitchen it can
you
be.
are inspired to be your best person so that you can please your queen. And
Exactly.
that's exactly what it should be. Your dom should inspire you to be the best you. We shouldn't be telling you who you should be. You should be telling us what you want to be, and we should be helping you get there. Okay.
Yes. Oh,
So,
this made my heart flutter. Exactly. This is what I'm trying to do with this show as well. Because I love the sissification narrative, and I am not yucking anyone's yum. I get the humiliation. I get the degradation. It turns me on too, but it doesn't always have to be that way. You know what I mean? And
well, this is the problem I have with the whole idea of degradation and humiliation is if it's causing you pleasure, is it really degradation or
for
humiliation? Is
sure,
it
it's not really my
really?
thing personally. It's a good question. A very good
Um,
question.
well, because like I love dirty talk, and dirty talk in the bedroom can be, oh, you're a dirty little slut, you're my freaking little whore, go get on that corner and make me some money or some shit like that, right? It can be that, but I don't find that degrading. It feels good to
Oh
me. I
yeah.
don't. Do you see that? That's the thing is it's all in the eye of the beholder. So, um, make sure if you're trying to get some sort of degradation and humiliation that you're very specific about what makes you feel humiliated, because oftentimes
Yeah.
what makes you feel humiliated makes me get fucking wet. So,
Yeah, that's true. So when it comes to dirty talk, there are a lot of couples out there who I love dirty talk. We talk to each other all the time. Like seriously, I've you can make people come just from talking to them.
oh,
You know
Nicholas,
what I
are you
mean?
sure? Have you been a good boy? Do you think you're allowed to come? You're in a little cage. I don't know if you're allowed to. Have you been a good enough boy?
Oh, you're gonna make me blush on my own show. Which leads to okay, let's go. I'm gonna go there. Well, I had questions up there about where now I gotta find them. I had mommy dom questions. Mommy dom, since you went there. What was the first time you ever dealt with someone who has the mommy dom fetish?
Honestly, the mommy dom fetish runs very rampant through the spanking community. Okay, ABDL is very prominent in spanking. So the first time I ever dealt with someone with this fetish was at one of the spanking events. Now, that being said, I have had people come and want to do the Dollhouse online program with mommy dom stuff. You can see some of that on my Instagram and Twitter and such. But what it comes down to is finding the right dom for you that elicits those feelings of a caretaker, someone who genuinely finds regard for you and loves you in whatever capacity that it is. Now, with the mommy dom, it can be just say coloring and a few spankings, or it could go all the way to diapering. Well, as a mommy dom, I don't get into any of the body fluids, so it's all pretend when it comes to the diapering. But as a mommy dom, it's my job to kind of help you relive the things that you needed and wanted and love and miss that you had at whatever age you were at. Um, when you whatever it is that you miss, because everybody has like a different age range. You can be a little or you could be a middle, and I'm happy to provide you the guidance as your mommy dom to become the best little or the best middle there is. And if you're a brat, I got your number too.
Now, I interviewed Mommy Peach and Mario. It's a couple. Um,
Hmm.
Mommy Dom, little couple, a lot of diapers and stuff like that. And the way he introduced this whole fetish to her was it was like the second or third date. And usually on the second or third date, if you're not having sex by then, you should be like you usually people are, right? Well, he brought out a big bag full of diapers and a pacifier and a rattle and all this stuff. And then fast forward a year later, they're on my show. You know what I mean? So if it's not an ABDL fetish or a little fetish or something like that, maybe it's a sissification fetish. Maybe it's cross dressing.
Hmm.
To those who have a fetish but are scared to admit it to their significant other, what advice would you give to them?
So my advice for you is that the sky is the limit as long as you can accept no for the answer. So you have to believe that your partner loves you fully. And if they love you fully, they should be willing to listen to this and also set boundaries for themselves. So if they say no, absolutely no, then that's what you have to hold on to. And you have to understand that that's not a place to go further. But just opening your mouth and talking about the hard stuff is what really makes your dreams a reality. I can't tell you how many times I've been afraid to talk about something, and the answer has always been yes. It's not very often that I'm told no. And when I'm told no, sometimes it's hard to accept it, but guess what? You damn better well be able to accept it if you're going to ask. So if you can accept no for an answer, you can go anywhere.
Wise words. Wise words. Okay, so let's go back to some of the other questions. We have some people talking. Um, DL Joey, do you offer ABDL sessions, diaper level
I
sessions? Do you offer that?
I do offer them. The key is again that there's no body fluids involved. So you're not allowed to wet your diaper or poo in your diaper, but there's a whole bunch of other things we can do in your diaper, like spank you or tie you up
Mm,
or play. Everything can happen in the diaper just like it does. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you saw, but there was like a little, a young gentleman. I think he was something like 2 years old, who was in a diaper at a breakdancing competition. You can literally do anything in a diaper.
You can do anything in a diaper. Stan Vladimir asks, speaking of medical, I don't remember when we were talking about it, but I'm sure we were. What are your thoughts on medical play?
Medical play, I think that you have to be cautious because you are using often tools that are designed for actual procedures. And if you don't know what you're doing with them, you could probably hurt somebody very much. So you want to be cautious, like with any other kink, make sure you know all the P's and Q's and all the ins and outs before you apply it to somebody. I think that the whole doctor role play concept is a pretty hot idea. And if I were going to get into it, I would definitely want to have a speculum involved.
Lady Sublime says B-52's Dance the Mess Around becomes Spank the Mess Around. But also people can get 15% off all inventory at lockedandlust.com with offer code YKF. Chastity's fun. Yeah. Try it. 15% off. Do you have anybody in Chastity? Do you Chastity play?
I definitely do Chastity play. I had a person in Chastity for almost 6 months. They
Really?
were one of my online dolls, and it was quite fun. Yes. And I currently have 2 submissives in Chastity. One I'm going to be playing with here shortly this week coming up. And the other one is over there in California. And we're starting and experimenting with it as a means of negative reinforcement, shall we say?
Really interesting. How are you spinning that? An example?
It's a carrot. It's basically a carrot idea. If you do what you're told, I might release you so you can get off. Otherwise, you're not allowed to get off. Your orgasms are mine.
Okay. All right. When it comes to Chastity, metal, plastic, or silicone?
That's a personal preference for the submissive. I think metal is pretty fucking sexy, but
Yeah.
the submissives that
I'm
I've
wearing
had in
metal.
Chastity find the plastic ones, the cherry picker in particular, to be very much a winner. And then they also highly suggest the strap. There's a ring, a round ring that you put on, and you can strap it to yourself. And then the cherry picker, they say because it truncates the size of your penis so much and it doesn't have much room to grow, that it still causes pain, but it's not quite as painful when you do start to have erection.
Shame plays a huge role. We were talking about humiliation, degradation, all that stuff. Shame plays a huge role. What advice would you give to someone who's dealing with shame in their family because they're kinky? Holidays and Thanksgiving and New Year, this all brings this up.
I mean, it really does. It's almost like the age-old question of when do you come out of the closet? Are they going to accept you for who you are or not? This is the problem, is that your family shouldn't be shaming you in the first place. I would consider somebody's proper family accepting you for who you are. Now, that is case in point with my father, who I'm taking care of. He knows that I do this. He calls it my flogger business. Okay.
That's great. That's adorable. That's so fun. You sell floggers, you make floggers.
I don't make them, but he knows that I spank people. But anyway,
but
he calls it,
you're in the flogger business.
That's right.
Yeah, you're in the business of floggers, flogging, and stuff like that.
Yeah. And so this is the key: is
great.
You should always embrace who you are. But if you know that the person in your family just can't handle it, then do they really need to know? Like, for instance, my dad knows it's my flogger business, but he doesn't know that I'm polyamorous. He doesn't need to know that. Okay. And the reason is because he's a man of Christian faith, and I discussed it with my stepmom before she passed, and we decided that it just wasn't necessary information for him. So the question is it necessary information for them? Because if it's not, then why even bring it up? There's no shame to be had. You should not be shamed of yourself. There should be no shame in your proclivities. Like, be you. It's those things that, like, when you get diagnosed with a terminal illness, you suddenly realize that you only have a certain amount of time to live it, or you've reached old age because you toiled and troubled all over the way that vanilla life wants you to work, but you never reached out to do what you wanted. Stop. Stop getting stuck in your head and be. Be in the
Yeah.
moment. Be yourself. Embrace who you are, but also have discernment. Do they really need to know? If they don't, and you know that they're not going to accept you, then don't go there. If you really, really, really need them to know, open your mouth and also understand that they have the autonomy to tell you that they don't want you in your life anymore. They don't want to be in your life anymore. So those are the consequences. Know the consequences, know what you're facing, and because you know your family, and then decide what's the plunge. Personally, my life has been so amazing. There have been so many people that have tried to use what I do against me, specifically with my father, to be fair. But because I was honest with him all those years ago, when I decided I was going to do this all the time, none of it mattered because he was like, oh, you think my daughter's a prostitute? Whatever, fuck off. Because she's not. She's got a flogger business.
Yeah. She's got a flyer. You said face it, and I could use that, and that automatically made me think of a fan question. Face sitting, is face sitting a privilege, or is it a
Face
punishment?
face sitting is a privilege, okay?
Okay, all right.
I offer
That's
face
that's
sitting.
good. That's an answer. You don't have to go more.
Well,
Let's go
I
to prep. How do you prep for a typical session?
when I'm preparing, I make sure that I have whatever in my toy bag that I feel like might be good for them. Because during the negotiation time, I'm going to kind of pick your brain a little bit and kind of get an idea for what kind of player you are. And
Mhm.
so I'm going to have my bag prepared with the certain toys for whatever kink we're engaging in. And then I always make sure that wherever we're going, we have water and snacks and snuggly time options for the aftercares. And then I always make sure that we have different pieces of furniture involved. And the reason I say this is that, or I guess we could do it outside too, but it's different surfaces and levels of surfaces. So I could bend you over the tree in the woods, or I could bend you over the love couch, or I could bend you over the whatever chair or whatnot. If you go onto Intrinsic Kink Inc. Discord right now, you can go into the bondage section and see a chair that I am particularly excited to do some CBT with. I think that I'm going to have an opportunity to CBT some with it. And so preparing is having the right tools and the right implements and the right things.
I play music, like even before this show, I was playing certain music to get me in the mood, just to get me up. Is there any songs that kind of get you in the mood before a session?
Um, it depends on the day, really. I always have some sort of level of noise going on. So for instance, today I went ahead and put on a playlist that I made for Intrinsic Kink's inaugural event. Um, because it was a bunch of different songs that I was picking through to determine a burlesque inspired striptease. And so it makes me feel sexier. It makes me just feel like gives me the groove. But it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to listen to that. Like I might listen to punk rock, or I might listen to Aurora, or which is a little bit more ephemeral. Um, it just depends on the day of the week. But if I don't have sound on, I'm usually making sound myself.
Really? Okay. How
Yeah.
that's interesting because I do that too. I hum, or I snap my fingers, or I do stuff. I don't know
I
what it
make
is.
up
What do you do?
I make up
Make
songs
up
about what
rhymes. I
I'm
make up
doing.
rhymes and songs.
Yep. Yeah, I just sing little songs. And so it will also often be to the tune of like some popular pop song, but I'll rewrite it essentially to my own lyrics, and
Oh
it
yeah. Oh yes. Yeah.
yeah.
I did I totally rewrote the classic gospel song "Let the Church Roll On," and I rewrote it as "Let the Kink Roll On."
I love
Right?
it.
You could do that. You could insert everything into. I was listening to an old, this is so obscure, you're probably not even gonna know. Wall of Voodoo has a song called "Can't Make Love," And it's not, I can't, it means can't make love. Like I can't make love to the girls in the city or the boys in the city because they're this, whatever. But the line is, I'm a nice guy, but I don't love you. I just want to sleep with you. You could just change it to a kink song. I'm a nice girl, but I don't love you. I just want to kink with you. And you can do back and forth, and yeah. Anyway, look it up. Can't Make Love, Wall of Voodoo. It's a good song, 80s. All sizes. Anyway, I know when I said the face sitting thing, is face sitting a privilege? I cut you off for comedic effect. Did you have something you wanted to say about face sitting?
uh,
I don't want to silence you.
well, with the face eating stuff, it can be arranged with clothing on.
Oh yeah,
But there's usually the additional fee for you to get to smell my vagina. Just saying. But
yeah,
there's
yeah.
never, I don't offer sex or sexual touching. So face sitting is definitely a privilege. It requires extra money, or you need to be my partner, and then I'm gonna probably face sit you with no clothing.
Some fan wanted to do a face sitting podcast, but like we couldn't be able to do the interview or talk because there'd be butts in our mouths and our faces. So what's inspiring you these days? It wouldn't work at
It
all.
would not.
It would not. So lifestyle. Was there ever a time that you felt burnout or felt like you needed to give up the kink lifestyle? What changed your mind?
Everything in life can bring you to a point of burnout, jobs, family, relationships of any sort. And so, yes, I have felt burnt out. Um, but instead of giving up, I engage in this little known concept called self-care. And with self-care, I'm able to reconnect with my passions and the things that drive me, which ultimately is the universe. The universe has guided me to this doorstep, and the universe keeps me here. And I know that I have things to achieve in order to make that happy universe.
Platforms, every platforms they come and go. You're not on
All the
MySpace anymore, are you? You're
No,
on
uh-uh.
Friendster. So, what platforms are you using the most these days?
Well, I am currently on FetLife, Instagram, X, and I just joined Blue Sky today. Blue
Oh,
Sky is the new platform that all of the sex workers are jumping over to
yep.
because Musk is trying to make things a little bit more family friendly, I guess. I don't know. I'm not sure what his goal is. All I know is that Blue Sky is the newest fang dangle dingle, and I just
That's,
joined it.
check us out on Blue Sky, everybody. Yeah,
At
yeah.
Isabella
Um,
Dollish on all of it. Isabella Dollish everywhere. Isabella Dollish on all the things. It's easy, easy,
and that should be
straightforward.
the platform. Going to a new platform is a reminder to all of us. There's always another party. One party ends, another party begins. It's like whack a mole, you know.
Yeah.
What's the last dream you remember?
Oh gosh. So honestly, I don't dream too terribly often, and recently it's been a little bit more of a lucid experience. So, it often involves me living life in some way, and I don't have a specific example. I'm sorry.
All right, no worries. Kate West has a question. Why are men so obsessed with their own assholes?
Well, this is the problem is in America, if we're speaking of men in America, I think you might be.
Mhm.
Um, we have been suppressed sexually for millennia, not millennia, but just a couple hundred years, I guess it is, isn't it? But ultimately, the Puritan and the Quaker ideals of the past that bred our c- culture have suppressed us to the point that we are not able to be ourselves. And the simple fact is that ass play is natural play, and unfortunately in America we have equated ass play with being homosexual. And so men are so obsessed with it that because it's been either denied, it's like a voodoo taboo sort of concept, or it's because they are homosexual and they really, 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 really need it. But oftentimes I find that it just comes from the fact that anything that becomes taboo or suppressed by our society becomes obsessions for most.
Hmm. Stan Vladimir asks, have you done any cosplay sessions where you dress up as certain characters and enact a scene from a show, book, or cartoon?
No.
Who would you want to do that if you would want to do that? Who would you like to do that to?
Probably the best character that I could role play would be Elvira.
Yeah. At the Manor we had Elvira the movie. The Elvira's movie. We had a movie night. Yeah.
Did
Shout
you
out
know
to.
that did you know that Cassandra Peterson is from Colorado Springs?
No, I did not.
Yeah,
I did
she's
not.
from that. I worked at a burger joint right across the street from the high school she graduated from when I was growing up. Yeah.
Oh, I do want to talk about your work in prison a little bit. You were talking
Okay.
about that. But before we get that, submissive. You are a switch. That means also you are submissive at times. And
hmm
are you a professional submissive?
Yeah, as a pro switch, I do it professionally. The real key though, guys, is to remember that as a pro switch, and when I'm doing a submissive role for you, it is a transactional, momentary thing. I've had people and producers try to assume that because they hired me as a submissive that I was going to be their submissive. That's not how it works. So just remember that you, as a pro submissive, you are providing a service.
That's true. True. Shout out to Luna Dark, my very, very good friend who we just saw on Christmas. She's in this
Ooh,
book. She has a questionnaire. She's a submissive, and she has a questionnaire she gives to her doms. They have to write an essay. Yeah, they have
I
to
love it.
earn her submission. That's what she says. You
Submission
have
is
to
a
earn my submission.
submission is a gift. Submission is
Submit
absolutely a gift.
that's the next thing she says. My submission is a gift. You have to earn my submission.
And
Yes.
and being a dominant is a responsibility.
Mm-hmm. Being
So
without being
being
a
a
key
dominant is a
holder.
responsibility. But I've had people try to say that dominance is a gift, and no, honey pie, it's a responsibility.
Now, when it comes to being submissive, right, as a professionally, like you said, you have to earn. We talked about that, but for people who are just getting started in this, what is like a major learning life lesson you've learned about being a professional submissive that you
Uh,
really should
Just
someone should know?
just even as a submissive in general, the most important thing that you can do is you use your voice. Remember that during negotiations, you need to say no. It's not about pleasing the person in front of you. It's about negotiating what you like or don't like. Use your words. And the
Mm.
words that you use in a scene are your safe words, which are red, yellow, or green. Use your words. You have absolutely no business being a pro or playing in a public setting unless you can use red and yellow. If you can't use those terms proficiently, then you might want to reconsider doing either of those things.
And make sure you communicate as much as possible before the ball gag is in. So because you can't say red or yellow if the ball gag is in. You know what I
Well,
mean?
well, that's when you should be arranging another sort of
Exactly what I
signal.
meant.
So,
That's
yeah,
exactly
often
what I said.
it
Yeah.
could be your hand on the
Easy.
back of small of your back. It could be you touching my leg in some way, reaching back and touching my leg if you're not restrained. Or it could be you frantically moving your feet because you are restrained, but that's all that can move. Remember, you
Oh,
have to have some sort of indicator when you can't speak.
okay. The rest of the show is going to be all just fun. We're going to go through it real quick. And it's no deep intellectual stuff. It could be emotional, you never know. But let's say you have endless resources. You can go anywhere in the world with anyone you want. What is your ultimate kinky fantasy?
Well, if I have the means to do anything, I want to have um, clubs across the globe that offer a safe place for education and kinky playtimes. My ultimate kinky fantasy would be to offer those spaces and then get to go and play in them with the safe people because that's really kind of where a lot of my stuff comes from is being I'm an exhibitionist. Um, and I'm definitely a voyeur as well. And so that's what helps me to be on the stage for all of you guys. So I'd want my ultimate king fantasy to make it a global stage with castles and Victorian houses and different structures across the globe where we can all meet up and have good times.
I love this. Ah, I love this. All right, rapid fire recommendations. They don't have to be kink related. Recommend a film.
Uh, I'm not a film person. I'm sorry.
All right. Recommend a song.
I would recommend Porvu's Scorpio.
Oh,
It's
okay.
Porvous, and then Scorpio is the title of the song.
Okay. Recommend a meal.
I would highly recommend getting a Indian bread taco.
That sounds delicious.
It's
I've had
amazing.
fried bread and that. Oh, Indian fried bread. Okay. Word association game. Basically, I'm going to say a word or a kink, some fetish, something, or phrase. You say the first word or phrase that comes into your head. First rule is that we don't kink shame. So if I say something, please don't make fun of it. Just say not my thing. Okay.
Okay.
But the main rule, the second rule is you say whatever comes to your mind. Right.
Okay.
So if I say chastity, you could say lock. But if you're thinking of Indian taco, then you say Indian taco. That's a perfect fine
Okay.
answer, right? Second is the jar. Shout out to Tangled Blue. Tangled Blue, I love you. She was the idea for this, but Mistress Natasha suggested the jar. I don't know what's in this jar. These are pieces of paper. So I'm on board with this too. All right. So
Okay.
you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Word association game. Flogging.
Beating.
Spanking.
Smacking sounds.
Medical play.
Speculums.
Lingerie.
Lace.
French maid outfits.
Cleaning.
Chastity.
Denial.
Splashing.
Is that the food thing?
Yes.
Not for me.
Knife play.
Sexy.
Wax play.
Delightful.
Leather.
Smooth.
Latex.
Not for me. I'm allergic.
Oh, forced by.
Fucking hot.
That's in quotes. Yeah. Scarification.
Sexy to watch, but not participate in.
Okay. Blood play.
Also sexy to watch, but not participate in.
Go to the jar.
A jar time.
All right. Locking collars.
Locking collars are motherfucking amazing. That means commitment.
Yes. Let's see you got here. Ooh. Pet play.
What a good little pet you are.
Shout out to all the pups at Mischief Manor. Oh, here's politics.
Get the fuck out of here.
That's good. Like that. Oh, okay. Like I said, I did not write these. Titans.
What is it?
Titans.
Tataz! South Park.
Okay. Race play. Let's see. Hypno.
Help me quit doing crappy things.
All right. Piss.
Piss is a hard limit.
And finally, we've reached the end. Scat. No pun intended.
Also a hard limit.
Okay. What can the kink community do as a whole to make the world a better place?
Cut out the fucking drama. There is no damn need for it. Let's just all play together in the sandbox and have a good time.
Yeah, if we're gonna beat each other up, let's do it consensually.
Well, let's do it consensually. And if you guys happen to have a relationship that falls apart, let's not make it everybody's business. Just fucking be adults.
Yeah.
Let's stop the bullshit. Let's take it out. So, really and truly, let's manage our shit. right? Let's manage our own shit and
Yeah,
make sure that we're not putting our own bullshit on other people.
that is very wise advice, and I go by that too. I also, if you notice on this show, I don't talk shit about anybody in the kink community. I don't, and I'm sure people talk about me, but I brush it off. Okay, how can
Agreed.
kinky people make money?
You have to be a hustler. You need to you need to this is the thing is I'm gonna get 99 no's before I get a yes. Okay. Um, I think the biggest thing to do is to not be greedy, to make a reputation. If you can
Hmm.
make your reputation, then the money will come without you thinking about it. And be genuine. Um, don't walk
Yes.
in here with some sort of stupid character because it's gonna crack, it's gonna falter, and we're gonna see you. So just show us who you are, and you're gonna be successful. And that's basically what I've done is I've made a reputation, I've shown you who I am, and now I'm a successful dom.
Very wise words. Stan asks, what are the limits as a sub and as a dom? What can and you can't do during a session?
That's also very specific for the individual. If you're going to list off my limits, I do not play with minors. There's no permanent damage. There's no body fluids. There's no sex or sexual touching. Okay. So the different things, and also no bestiality. Like we're not going to have any animals in there unless you are a human identifying as an animal. That's fine. Um, so you as an individual have to decide what those uh, hard limits are, and your hard limits could differ between public play and personal play. For instance, I love cum. Cum is fucking amazing, but I don't want everybody's cum.
Yeah. All right, we're winding it down. The second to last question. Life is blank. Fill in the blanks. It's not a question, but you know.
Life is brilliant. It's brilliant when you live your dreams, refuse everybody else's nightmares, and everything becomes easy as pie.
Thank you, Miss Bella. We're all looking for something. You've been on this path, and you've changed, you've evolved. I would love for you to come back on the show and to get to know you more and talk more about this. And every event that you have, I want you to promote. I want to be a part of it.
I love
I
it.
have classes. I would love to be a part of it. So we're all walking down this path. Where do you want your kinky path to take you next?
Well, it's not so much what I want. My kinky path is taking me to a point to where I'm not going to be able to travel quite as much. So that's why I've been making these online programs and opportunities for all of you to still get to connect with me. I would like for all of you to look forward to coming and visiting Colorado and seeing me here when that day comes. Um, but you all do need to understand that my life is in a very transitionary period. And so what I want is I want kink to continue even though life has to change. So make kink a part of your life because it comes from within. That's why it's intrinsic kink.
I want kink to continue, even though life has to change. I had to, I had to write that down. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Isabella. How can people get in touch with you? How can people support, get on your Discord, support, you, everything about you?
So
Here's your Instagram.
you can come and support me on Instagram at Isabella Dollish, X or Blue Sky as Isabella Dollish, or get on FetLife. If you want to join my dollhouse, please go to www.isabelladollish.com, and that will take you to my dollhouse. It will give you a list of my services, and you can fill out for a form to get your free consultation. That's right. I give you a free consultation to make sure that you and I are a good fit together. So if you're going to come join the dollhouse, you have to still be ready for a no, because if I don't think I can help you, I'm going to tell you no. But do come and check it out, please.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Please, everybody out there, the year's coming to a close. The new year is upon us. And just like Miss Bella says, the kink continues, even though things change. So let's continue kink together. I am so thankful. I am so thankful that you took the time, that's your precious time, to talk to me and to everybody here. Never waste a dom's time, people. Never waste anybody's time. Appreciate the people around you, everybody, because they may not be here the next day. Kink on and buy a book. I have 3 books. The Coolest Way to Kill Yourself. No one kills himself in a book. This is a love story. It's a true love story filled with hard drugs, kinky sex, and an endless amount of music references. Yes, and then there's my other book. I have another book called Your Kinky Friends. Read. This is all about how the kink community saved my life. It's not. It's dirty. It's about New Jersey, and it's about munches and people going through some hard time, and how the kink community kept us on. We keep on because of this. We kink on because of this. Everybody, it's going to be a great week. Be cool. Be kind. Keep an open mind. Take care.
Bye. Thank you for having me.